All right, and welcome into the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, your place for a refreshing and feel-good take on fantasy football and NFL gambling. We're certainly in the thick of the slowdown season here on the football calendar, but it's the perfect time to start circling those sleepers on your cheat sheet. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, gearing up to celebrate the 10-year high school reunion this weekend, so summertime vibes certainly at a high, and back with me is quite the cast of characters, including Boston's boy, Steve Lawson. Steve, you and I did a pretty similar show all the way back in February, but now it's time, turn the page. We have a more broader look at the board. So how are you feeling about it coming in with the picture getting a bit clearer?
You know what? I'm feeling it's kind of like that Metallica cover of Turn the Page. You know what I mean? It's like we're doing it again, but better.
Yes.
It's a better version. It has more energy and more feel to it. And I just, with everything going on with the supplemental draft was supposed to be happening and then not happening, and training camp is alive and well, and free agency has happened, and Myles Garrett's a Ram, and a lot of stuff going on, and I'm just super excited to get into it.
I completely agree with you. Kind of like Top Gun Maverick, if you would. Just a remake, but better yet. So
Okay.
that's how I'll compare it. And also joining us for the first time is the newest addition to the IBT podcast rotation. He's a young Canadian lad who knows a thing or two about football, probably more than the average American. He's Zachary McKay, better known as Craze around these parts. Craze, great to have you on the program here moving forward. How are you? And what's going on up there across the border, pal?
It's a little bit more calm over here. We're not doing any of that bombing stuff. We stay away. We just try and keep the peace, But yeah, no, I'm feeling good. I'm glad to be here. Happy to talk some sleepers. I've been statting out every team, really just trying to get myself a feel for what this fantasy season is going to happen and kind of where can these guys fall? Where are these guys going to be at in the drafts? We're looking at some of these ADPs. Some of them caught me off. I was like, why is this guy going here? Why is this guy going here? And it's really just quite interesting to look at season over season to see where these guys start at their ADP and where they're going to end up come August.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you. And coming out of the best ball streets for the last couple months, that's where I've been doing a lot of my drafting now, shifting more into that redraft lens. It is startling seeing some of this ADP. Of course, we're going to use the Consensus Fantasy Pros ADP, which is taking ADP from both Yahoo, CBS, and ESPN. So keep that in mind. And also a quick reminder here before we jump in that the easiest way to support the program is please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content, and make sure you subscribe right now to the brand new home of the IBT podcast. Yes, it's the FSAN Fantasy Sports Advice Network. It is the FSAN Fantasy Football Advice channel, to be more specific with you. And if you missed our last episode, we announced that we are officially sold out. We're the sellouts here, and we've been acquired and merged with the awesome team over there at the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. And in addition to the IoT podcast on this channel, you can also find some more fantasy football-driven shows, the Fantasy Forecast, the Dynasty Pulse, Too Much Best Ball with our boy Brian, and of course From the Forum with Tyler and the whole crew live each and every single week. So a lot of fun stuff happening there. If you're a fan of one of our other IBT podcasts, whether that was The Back Road, The 19th Hole, Popcorn Root Beer, we have all the information here on the YouTube channel of where you can still find that. So you're staying in the loop with that. But very exciting stuff happening there. And also some very exciting stuff happening right here on this particular show. Let's fire it up here in some Sure Things Sleepers.
It's the Sure Thing Sleepers of the Week.
All right, it certainly is summertime, but I gave the boys some homework. We are to come to the table with one running back outside the top 45 in half-point PPR ADP, and then also one wide receiver outside the top 55. And Craze, since you are the man of honor in this episode, why don't you fire us up here? Who do you have starting at the wide receiver position?
Starting at the wide receiver position, I'm going to take you back a few years to Tank Dell, coming out of college, a young guy, small. Nobody really expects him to do anything. He comes out, and he's great for the Houston Texans. He has an injury. He comes back the next year, does great again, and then gets hurt again. He's taken a year off now. He should be close to fully healthy come the start of the season. If he's not fully healthy come week one, they'll let him get fully healthy before he's back. But when he's on the field, I expect a lot from Tank Dell. We've seen it before. People are projecting him to be the wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 of this group For the Texans, I like him a lot more than that. Him and CJ Stroud have a really good rapport. CJ Stroud definitely struggled down the stretch last season. You saw it in the playoffs. You saw where CJ Stroud wasn't looking like that guy he used to be. I think getting Tank Dell back helps him with that, can help this offense take a step forward. He's a wide receiver 77, 200th overall. So in most of your drafts, he's not being drafted unless you're going super deep. So he's a guy I think that you can get some good value. If you look at his stats over a 17-game pace, 67 receptions for 936 yards and 7 touchdowns.
Wow.
That's not a wide receiver 1 by any chance, but that's also not the wide receiver 77. So when we're looking at a guy who has the upside of being able to break those big plays, assuming he's back fully healthy, and a guy who kind of has maybe a ceiling where there isn't too much option when you're looking at guys in the 70s range, in the 50s or the 60s. So you're looking for someone with the ceiling, but also someone that, I think is a safe-ish option. I think you'll be able to play him, with your bye weeks. If you need a guy due to injuries, I think he's going to get that work in the Houston Texans offense. So I think I'm excited for what this Texans offense can be with him back, Higgins, Noel, and Nico Collins as well. So they have a good quad of wide receivers. I think Tank Dell probably fits in. He'll probably be the wide receiver 2 of this group when we're looking at total output for fantasy come the end of the season. I think that Higgins will get maybe more receptions, but when we look at total fantasy output, I think the touchdowns and the yards are going to be there for Dell, assuming he's healthy. Like I said, if you're looking at he doesn't start till maybe week 6, you look back on the whole season, might not be a perfect sell, but when we look at what they did each game they were in, I think Tank Dell is going to be that guy.
Steve, I'm 100% here for Craze's take on Tank Dell. Specifically, I was a couple weeks ago finishing up. I think my last pick actually came the morning of my wedding, and it was a 20-20 best ball Devy League, 20 picks in the college realm, 20 picks in the dynasty streets as well. And I took Tank Dell. I think it was with my 20th pick that wedding morning because I'm 100% on board here. Like, we can't forget that his rookie season, Tank Dell was one of the waiver wire darlings, if not the darling of the season. Him and Nico Collins really coming onto the scene there together, where it was like at one point difficult to rank both of them back to back and trying to sort through the two of them. Comes back the next season, he's going off the board in drafts with Stephon Diggs in this wide receiver core in the 4th, 5th round of drafts. And now all of a sudden he's missed a season. It's a year removed from that crazy, terrible injury he suffered. And now he's pretty much going undrafted. So I am here for this. I am a Jaden Higgins type of guy, but I think more than anything, this is writing off Jalen Noel, which I'm okay with because Noel had the path last year. He had opportunities with Nico down, with Higgins not 100% up to speed yet, and all he had to do was really beat out Christian Kirk, and he couldn't do that on a consistent basis. So I am here with Tank Dell. He's one of my favorite sleepers as well in these late final rounds of drafts. What about yourself, Steve?
I mean, why the 200th player? It's hard to be like, no, you know what I mean? I was like with you right up until like the wide receiver 2 comment. I think that like when it comes to Tank Dell, like realistically, he's probably a little jealous of you Canadians with your socialized medicine, with how many injuries this man has racked up. His premiums are just going through the roof at this point. Listen, as someone who has suffered catastrophic knee injury, you don't come back the same from what Tank Dell went through. And the problem is that at a position like wide receiver, if you lose even a half a step, you're toast. You're never the same. You're not that guy anymore. We've seen in the Texans draft as well that they have essentially said they're moving on. I think the only reason Tank Dell is still on the team is because there's like a loyalty there that they're like, listen, we don't want to be like jerks and cut this guy who his leg nearly fell off trying to catch a touchdown for us.
He caught that ball, to be honest with you.
Right, Steve. He did. So, but like still, it's Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, Xavier Hutchinson was drafted there. Like they signed.
I'm not worried about Xavier Hutchinson.
But it's one after the other, after the other, after the other. Like there's a real shot that this man's like wide receiver 6 on the depth chart by the time the season rolls around. May not even be ready for the season. So now you're looking at this injury that's 2 years of like time missed. It's just too much. I don't expect Tank Dell to come back and be that guy anymore. I mean, he may come in and pop 1 game, 2 games. That first game back, yeah, they probably force feed him a target or 2. But after that, I don't see it really happening. But he could be a good like morale booster for your deep bench.
Yeah, I like the depth that they have with Knoll and Higgins. It gives them the opportunity. Like I said, they didn't push him back to come back last season. And I think that they won't, if he's not 100%, I don't think he's going to be out there until he is. And that's why I kind of think that he can kind of come back. Will he be 100%? Some people make these great recoveries. Some people don't. As you said, some people, it can ruin their career. At 200th overall, I really don't think that's, if worst case scenario, he's not ready, you just drop him and there's no real risk with taking Tank Dell.
Yeah, like I said, I liked your take right up until you said he could be
wide receiver 2 or 3.
Yeah.
What do you think here? Would you rather take Higgins 133 overall, wide receiver 54, or just wait for Dell last round or off free agency? I think I'd rather just take Dell at that point.
No,
to be
I want
honest.
Higgins.
Okay. And one quick correction too, Christian Kirk now in San Francisco as well. But I'm here for the Tank Dell takes, and I'm also here for a man that has a very special place in my heart. He had a very special place in my heart a season ago, and a lot of the mock drafts we were doing, Steve and Eric, they always got on my ass for it, chewed me out. And I don't think I was wrong, maybe just a year early, because I'm going back to the well here with Jack Bech for the Las Vegas Raiders. Currently, wide receiver 102 in ADP, 278 overall. So even in your deepest of leagues, there's a chance this guy is still floating around there. Maybe if you're in like a Scott Fishbowl, he goes off the board. I took him in that Devy league, and I had people, knocking down my door to try to get him. And I think it's simply because like the general manager here for the Raiders, John Spytek, this is a guy who had a ton of opportunities in this draft to go out there and get a legitimate wide receiver for Fernando Mendoza, including his college teammate Elijah Sarratt, who fell all the way to day 3. Instead, they only got Oregon Ducks wide receiver Malik Benson in the 6th round. That keeps Bech to me as this team's X wide receiver. He's got the versatility. At least he showed it at TCU a few seasons ago to win both inside and outside the numbers. I think that will be awesome here in the Clint Kubiak system, who just helped JSN win that Offensive Player of the Year. Bech, pretty small sample size, right? 29 targets last year. So not a lot to go off. I will say, though, if we're cherry picking, in the one game where the second round pick here earned 6 or more targets, he came down with all 6 of them for 50 yards, 11 PPR points. So it's no risk on a player that I think, if all things go right, might have top 36 upside if he hits. Craze, I want to hear your opinion on Jack Bech. Is he someone you're willing to take a deep shot on last round of drafts or even in free agency?
So for me, I think that there's another wide receiver I would prefer from the Raiders that I think we're going to talk about in a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. But for me, I just have a bigger issue when we're looking at what is this offense? What kind of role could Jack Bech have? He's going to be at least behind Brock Bowers in targets. Fair. I wouldn't honestly be surprised if Ashton Genty ends up with more targets out of that backfield with Kirk Cousins back there for probably half of the season. And then you get that switch probably at some point mid-season from Kirk Cousins to a rookie quarterback in Fernando Mendoza. And what does that look like for the offense? I think with Kirk Cousins, you're going to get a little bit better of an output from these wide receivers. But then you see when rookie quarterbacks come in all the time, not necessarily the best thing for your wide receivers, especially when you're going to be maybe the 3rd target at best in this offense, probably the 4th or 5th. And I think that's at 278, you really can't go wrong. But to me, Jack Bech isn't really a guy that I'm going out. I have him in a dynasty league. He's sitting on my taxi squad, and I really don't want to do anything with him. Just going to let him sit there and hope for the best. But I don't really see an outcome where he's a guy who I'm putting in my lineup every week.
Okay, that's fair enough. And Steve, I brought this up to Andrew Erickson on the Fantasy Pros Fantasy Football podcast a couple weeks ago, and he had a similar takeaway to Craze here, and also you do, with actually wanting to target late a different Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver.
We're not moving on yet. Go right back to that graphic right now.
Okay,
Pull Jack Bech back up. We're not done. Right. We are not done because we are going to have this out. You just rattled off a bunch of reasons why you thought Jack Bech could be good. And the best thing you could come up with is one time he got 6 targets, caught all 6 of them, and had 50 yards.
It's the Kubiak system. That's what it is, brother. That's what it is.
Like, well, he turned JSN into something. No one believed in JSN versus Jack Bech.
Okay, but like to the point where
me running
in my home redraft last year, I took JSN with maybe like the 18th pick overall, and I got laughed at, and like I got the
18th overall is very different than 278. I know. There's not a dynasty league you've been in that has 278 picks. Like, it doesn't go that deep. This is crazy. This is a crazy, like, the Raiders PR team isn't even spinning Jack Bech. We've seen every team's PR team putting every Joe Schmo, including their janitors, out there being like, dude, we got the best janitor. Look how good they are. They can mop with the best. The Raiders haven't even acknowledged that Jack Bech
The
is
beat
alive.
writers have.
We
The
have
beat writers
zero
have
sign-
been.
We have no signs of life of Jack Bech, other than the fact that you keep bringing him up. It's like, I don't know. It's like Bloody
I've
Mary.
been following
Like,
the beat, bro. I'm plugged in right now to that Vegas organization. I'm
he
out
had
in those streets right
29
now.
catches. 29, like that. You say, oh, that's not allowed to
Targets,
go off of
29 targets to be
29
specific.
targets, even worse. That's even worse. You're like, oh, not a lot to go on. That's an awfully loud statement for a team that was absolutely devoid of wide receiver talent last year and didn't even look at this guy
Yeah,
more
Chip
than
Kelly, and like, come on, Chip Kelly's
that
a joke.
is less than twice a game. Less than twice a
He
game.
didn't play. He didn't play most of those games. To be fair,
You know
he had
why?
like
'Cause he
one or two
stinks.
snaps. Yeah. Well. Okay. So go ahead and tell me you're gonna chase a potential 40-some point burger last year that people were riding high on. And
Yeah,
I tried to,
you know
I
what?
tried to bet,
Yeah,
I
I
tried
am.
to bet
You know
him
why?
after
'Cause
that.
at
I
least he
tried
can do
playing
it.
fantasy, and he didn't do much. So tell me
Yeah.
who you're crushing on
Trey
here
Tucker.
late in drafts.
Trey Tucker, because at least he can put up a 40 burger for me. At least he can at least I'm not sitting here going from 6 to midnight over 11 points. That is just like, we are not even in the same stratosphere when it comes to like ridiculous wide receivers. Now, listen, do I think Trey Tucker is the greatest wide receiver to set foot on the, earth? No, I don't. But do I think he could actually be useful in a Clint Kubiak system where you actually need to be, I don't know, fast? Yeah, I do. I think he could handle a lot more of those short targets, those like quick hitters, turn them into something. Now he's also going really late, 179 overall. This is your last pick. But when those bye weeks roll around and you roll someone out there, I want the guy who maybe, should things go positively, can turn into something. Someone needs to catch the ball out of the wide receiver core there. Now, I do agree with Craze that like it's obviously Brock Bowers number one, right? And especially when Mendoza goes in there, rookie quarterbacks do love a good tight end, right? That's like their safety blanket. That's their, middle of the field guy. They didn't draft that. I actually wanted to go. I should have gone Malik Benson because I've started adding him everywhere in my dynasty leagues. Like, I'm a Malik Benson guy. I've liked Malik Benson since he was a Seminole, and then he obviously left us and went to Oregon, and then like now he's a Raider. It's an interesting set of stuff.
He had a nice run late in the season. I'll give Benson that. Like he was the number one guy there for Dante Moore and company outside the tight end position when they were in that CFP run.
Yeah, he's got he's not a unique, but he's got an interesting skill set, right? Like, he's pretty fast, he's pretty big, but he's really kind of rail thin, and he's kind of got to figure that out. But Trey Tucker's like a tough dude. He goes over the middle. Like, he's not big, but he's willing to take the hits. I think, honestly, it's worth the shot because he does have that 40-point upside that he can just go absolutely nuclear for no reason whatsoever. I do worry that when Fernando Mendoza comes in, I've been very vocal about my lack of, like, fandom.
Enthusiasm.
Yeah, not really enthusiastic of Fernando Mendoza. Super nice kid, it seems like. Really polite and, says all the right things. But I think that makes me like him less. Like, he's kind of like a little bit of a good old boy, and that's just like, it makes me want to throw up a little. I don't think he has like the edge. And then it's obviously the physical tools that he's not elite at anything, and that's a big thing with me.
Elite in accuracy. We've had this conversation. He's
not an elite accuracy guy. At college football, completion percentage means absolutely nothing. He is not elite when it comes to accuracy, and he's not elite when it comes to arm talent. And I worry that he's not going to be able to push the ball to Trey Tucker, which is really concerning. Jack Bech is also going to suffer in that regard, where it's like he's not going to be able to push the ball downfield and get them those meaningful targets. But I think Trey Tucker early in the year could be someone that you ride at least to a big output once or twice, with Kubiak being pretty creative on the play calls.
Well, and that's the issue I guess I have, Craze, with Trey Tucker is like, if you can tell me what game he's going to score 40, draft him. But like, I'd rather have a guy in Bech who I think is going to be a consistent guy, get you 11 to 13 PPR points a week, potentially at max, kind of like Robert Woods you to death, if you would, for a couple seasons ago. Like that's kind of what I'm seeing here. While Trey Tucker reminds me like Rashad Bateman a couple years ago. He might have finished at wide receiver 25, but did you have him in your lineups those weeks?
Yeah, I think for me, when we're looking at guys this late is, if I'm starting one of these guys, I'm probably in trouble already. So I want the guy that can go out and get me 40 points and win me the week. as opposed to Jack Bech, who you said 10 to 13. He's probably around 4. When we're looking at, he'll get a couple receptions.
Yeah, where
especially in
did
half
you
court.
pull 10 to 13, like 11 to 13 points? If he does that, Seth, I'll
in
tell
the
you
one
what.
game he saw 6+ targets.
I'll tell you what, Seth. If he has 11 plus PPR points for a full season, you can keep my paycheck for the year, the whole year. Like,
All
just
right,
absolutely
all right.
pocket it.
You heard it here first. First,
I
folks.
think with Kirk Cousins, though, at the start, I think that Trey Tucker is just going to be that reliable guy for him in this wide receiver core. I think that, as you said, he could do everything he can, stretch the defense if Kirk can get it down there to him. And with Brock Bowers there, I think that just Tucker, to me, he's the guy that has the higher upside between Bech and himself. So that's the direction that I would go.
Okay.
That's man.
No, totally understandable there. I appreciate the insight and the counter strike.
Don't be
Steve,
so polite about it either. Tell him what's up. Like, tell him the time of day, because like this Jack Bech thing, we need to like kind of beat it out of him.
All right. Well, hey, that's all right. That's all right. I'm gonna keep going. If you guys want to make like a side wager, Eric still owes me a case of Busch Light from 2 expos ago. For it was our Tyler Warren bet.
I think I owe Eric one for did Chase Brown beat out ETN last year, or did I win?
He did. I think he did finish above him. Yeah. So I think you also owe Eric a drink, but he won't be at the expo. I will though. So let us know. If you want to place a wager, either one of you, I'm down for it. Like.
Yeah,
what would you
we want to bet that Jack Bech does not score 11 PPR fantasy points per
well,
game.
that's the high end. Like,
no, you said 11 to 13.
Would you give me over wide receiver 55 finish for Jack Bech?
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Over 50. Craze, you went in on this?
Over 55. I don't think he finishes over 55 now.
Okay, I guess under would technically be the better. Like wide receiver 55 or better is the side I want to be on. You want to go under that?
Give me 50. Give me 50 and I'll get.
Okay, all right. I want a case of Busch Light, or Busch Light apples at next expo. What are your terms, Steve?
I want.
I know you don't drink technically.
Yeah, I don't. You owe me a case of Sunkist Zeros, I guess.
Okay, that's probably the strangest drink.
Actually, I want you to come on I actually want you to come on the show and print out a photo of Jack Bech, and I want you to rip it in half.
Okay, deal.
On the air.
You got it.
And just announce him for the rest of time.
Craze, do you have a drink of choice that you prefer? Molson?
I'm a vodka man through and through.
Okay.
So that's my go-to. So next year when I'm at the expo, that's what we'll be going.
Okay. With. All right. Okay, that is the bet. Then what kind of vodka are we talking? Are we talking like Tito's? Will Tito's subside?
So fun, unrelated, absolutely. I can't get Tito's here because it's an American-made alcohol, and you can't get American-made alcohol in Canada, especially Ontario right now, because of the tariff war. So right now, I do like Tito's. Tito's would normally be my go-to, cheaper option, but I don't drink those.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll have you down here in the U.S. We'll give you a taste of Tito's if I'm wrong on this one. How about that? That sounds good for me. I'm expecting a case of Busch Light, though, when Jack Bech goes over wide receiver 55. And boys, speaking of the Fantasy Football Expo, just a couple weeks away here right now, which is big news in the IBT and FSAN world. If you're free July 25th, consider getting a ticket to Draft Night Out. That is our live fantasy football draft party at the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio at Jerseys. We've been putting this on for, I think this will be our 4th year of IBT owning this. Now FSAN. Originally, I had worked this for a couple of years with a good friend of mine who we ended up acquiring this event, but it's a great time, folks. 200 plus fantasy football enthusiasts. They're going to be at the event with us. We're going to have a shot wheel spinning, songs going to be singing, giveaways going off, everything in between. We're also running right now as well a #Weekender special where you can get 10% off when you get tickets to both Draft Night Out and the IBT Classic, our golf scramble, the day before. The link to that in the episode description. So make sure you're checking that out. Draft Night Out, IBT Classic. Let's make it a weekend-long thing. Steve, you're even on a bum knee, and you're going to come out here and swing some golf clubs with me this summer at the IBT Classic. So looking forward to that, my friend.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I actually just got out yesterday and did my first 18 of the year on
How was
one
it?
leg.
How was it?
I narrowly missed breaking 100, so I'm getting myself back into shape. Yeah, I shot a 101 through 18, which isn't my best score. Usually I'm under 100, but you know what? I'm working with the gimpy leg. So
hey, I'll tell you what, I've been broke 100 this year, and I got both my legs. So shout out to you, Steve, for powering through there. Craze, let's go back to you. We're going to get back into our sleeper discussion. Went a little bit off topic there, but I wanted you to bring us back here and specifically do it at the running back position.
Yeah, so we're going to be looking at running backs outside the top 45. When you're doing that, you're looking at, running back twos, low end running back twos, not even the better of them, or maybe you're looking at a running back 3 on a current depth chart. So I'm going to look at a running back 3, maybe depending on how you view this depth chart. I'd say he starts out as a running back 3, but I would be surprised if he finishes there. Kaytron Allen finds himself in the Washington Commanders offense, running back 57, ADP 181 overall. So we're looking at, again, a late round guy, maybe a guy who's undrafted in your home leagues, but maybe a guy that can help you down the stretch. I think when you're looking at this team in particular, Washington's offense should take a step forward from where they were last year. 2 years ago, they were in the NFC Championship game. Jaden Daniels now back fully healthy. You have an offense that should be better. And with that comes scoring opportunities. Your running game with Jaden Daniels in there will be better. JCM, Bill, whatever you want to call Jackery Krosky-Merritt, he had his time last season. And I really didn't see this, elite running back. I didn't see a guy who, to me, you want to plan your offense around. I saw a guy who can be okay. He can be productive, but nothing really special. They brought in Rachaad White, who I think is going to be great out of the backfield catching the ball, but he's not that big-bodied back. When you're looking at these 3 running backs, Kaytron Allen, 5'11", 217, is bigger than JCM. I think that he can come in and fill this touchdown role that you're going to have open in this Washington Commanders offense. And I think he can slowly work his way up the depth chart to be kind of him and Rachaad White come the end of the season. My only hesitancy is that what we saw last year, where it was JCM was there, and they really just kind of did a mix. I think with Jaden Daniels, they're going to kind of want to have, I think it's going to be Kaytron Allen come in. He's going to be that first 1-2 down back. Then they're going to bring in Rachaad White. Obviously, Rachaad White's going to get that passing work. I don't think that's really what you're expecting out of Kaytron Allen, who had 4,200 yards and 39 touchdowns in his college career. You're going to see this guy come in. I think he can score. And I think that's going to be something that, even in college, it was Nick Singleton who was doing that. But I think Kaytron Allen finds himself in this role in this offense. And that's why I think at the end of your drafts, maybe you take a flyer on him. Maybe he looks really good, in training camps, in preseason, and he could even start out earlier on than I expect him to get the carries. But to me, Kaytron's a guy that you're drafting now and you're hoping can help you down the stretch as opposed to right away. Just some of these, a 6th-round rookie, it can take some time to earn those reps. So that's kind of what I would expect for Kaytron. I like him as a sleeper. I think that he can help you maybe even be a guy you're starting come championship week if all goes well for you.
Yeah, this is another one. I don't know if it's just, you coming on the show and trying to appease the host here, but Kaytron Allen, one of my guys, of course, from Penn State. And I think he can really compete for this north-south job, the early down thumper role, if you would, in this Washington backfield. All he has to do is beat out JCM, Bill Krosky-Merritt, if you would. And I think based on what we saw last year, that is doable. It's a similar story, honestly, for what Nick Singleton has lying ahead. But I think Tyjae Spears and of course Tony Pollard are much better players than what Kaytron has to go through. And I know actually Singleton's kind of going above him right now in a similar range in ADP, but I do agree with you that I think Kaytron Allen actually might be the upside play, less to go through. And honestly too, when this offense gets going, who do you want more? Tennessee Titans running back, or do you want a Washington Commanders back there in a backfield, potentially sharing it with someone as talented and as athletic as Jaden Daniels there, a little JD Honey. So, all right, Steve, who do you have here for your first running back sleeper of the program?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a guy who I don't know if we forgot he existed or if the world seems to have think he died, but Alvin Kamara is still, as far as I'm aware, in the NFL and breathing. Yes, he is no longer the number 1 in New Orleans. That obviously has gone to Travis Achan, who has clarified how to pronounce his name, which, that's all well and good. I do not believe Alvin Kamara is just going to be, thrown away entirely if he's on the team. He will either be traded or he will have a role. He just won't have the bell cow role that we're used to him having over the last few years. I do think there's still room for him to do that. I do think that Alvin Kamara still has that in him. He has one more season of that. I know that we just talked about Kaytron Allen. I wouldn't hate to see Alvin Kamara end up in the nation's capital and get run at that running back one position. But even if he doesn't, at 172 overall at the RB 51, I think he's going to outperform this. I don't think this coaching staff is just going to be like, nope, we have nothing to do with him. We have nothing for him. He can't, like, HN or ETN or however you want to pronounce it or know him as, he is not like the most adept pass catching running back. He's good at it, but he's not elite at it.
Sure.
Alvin Kamara is. That's his thing. That's what his thing always has been. I imagine that role is still his for the foreseeable future as long as he's a Saint. So I am perfectly happy late in my draft being like, man, I need like that RB. Like if I've kind of punted the running back position or if I haven't gotten like that third running back, Alvin Kamara could very well be that guy that you're like, man, I'm real happy I got. Because these third down running backs, I mean, with leagues moving more and more and more toward PPR.
Kenneth Gainwell last year.
Yeah, I mean, look at how well that worked out. He was a league winner, legitimately a league winner. It's a difference-making position. You can still be fantasy viable. So losing out on that number one spot, fine. So maybe he's not in the top 32 off the top of my head. But even then, you're telling me there's 50 running backs you want ahead of Alvin Kamara? That seems goofy, does it not? The guy gets demoted-ish, and now we're like, that's it? Throw it up, Jaden Blues ahead of him or something like that? I mean, what are we doing here? Like, I think we're being way too reactive with Alvin Kamara right now.
It's fair, especially because if he can lock down that pass catching role, it's going to give him a PPR floor. The thing is like we've talked about this in the past, Tyler Shuck wasn't super check down heavy as a rookie, but a lot of rookies aren't, right? They kind of, instead of dropping their head and looking for the check down, they'll kind of drop their head and drop their shoulder and just take off, right? So I think there is potential growth there for Alvin Kamara to have more checkdowns from Tyler Shuck in the Saints offense, which again, you're high on ETN. I know you're taking above consensus. It sounds like you're above Kamara here on consensus as well. So don't hate the call out there.
The coach. Don't forget who the coach, Kellen Moore,
loves running backs.
Loves running backs and is maybe the best play caller in the NFL. You know what I mean? It's like,
I think that's a stretch. I think he's up there. I would take him probably top 10, but
it's probably top 3. Honestly, it's probably him, McDaniel, and Kubiak, and that's probably your 1, 2, 3.
McVay.
I think McVay's probably 4, 5. Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan. Like, what are we doing here? Come on, you can't.
I'm saying play caller. Play caller.
That's what I'm saying. I'm talking play caller too, though. Like a lot of similar system to McVay, but I prefer that system over and I do like this downhill scheme that we've seen Kellen Moore like surround. I mean, he's a guy who got Saquon Barkley 2,000 plus yards. Craze, are you taking any deep shots on Alvin Kamara this season?
I think for me, let's just look at what he did last year. He started off with 2 10-point games, and then he really wanted to stretch 6, 9, 7, 10, 4, 5 negative points, 13 before he got hurt. So we're looking at last year when he was the RB1 for this team. It wasn't great. You were starting him, you were losing matches because he wasn't producing. So I think we're being, overreactive. They bring in Travis, and that's going to hurt. I think that hurts his floor. He will still get those receptions out of the backfield. Maybe Tyler Shuck, he does check it down a little bit more this year. But to me, I think if you want to take a bet on Kamara, you're really taking a bet on the Saints offense and Tyler Shuck. And I don't think Tyler Shuck is the guy I'm currently willing to, ride through this with Alvin Kamara. If Tyler Shuck doesn't take a huge step forward, I don't see Alvin Kamara's role being enough in this offense. I think that if all goes well, he could be a good solution. Like he's been a great goal line back in the past, and he can catch the ball. So if the Saints come out and they look like a top 12 offense, Alvin Kamara is going to be an absolute steal in this position. I just don't personally predict that to be the case. I think that being in a backfield like this on an offense that you don't project to be great, I just project to have a little bit less, upside.
Okay, fair enough. So not a lot of agreement on this show tonight, but I think something we can all agree on is taking a late round flyer, throwing them in your IR, and then adding another extra player to your roster. And that's exactly the play this year for me when it comes to Zach Charbonnet, currently RB 50 in ADP, 160 overall. This has always been a strategy I love because I like carrying as many players going into the season as I can. We've already heard that Charbonnet is also getting some, quote, light work in on the fields at OTAs right now. Charbonnet, of course, coming off that excellent season where he was regularly cutting into Super Bowl MVP Ken Walker's workload, earned himself 12 touchdowns on his way to an RB24 finish. The efficiency in 2025, like that's the one thing I think a lot of people are going to go back to, but he had the stacked front carry rate of 11.4%, 13th most. So that just didn't really allow it, right? This was a guy teams knew when Charbonnet was coming in that they were going to stack the boxes and they were trying to pick up a yard or two, get in the end zone, get across that pylon and just continue to move the sticks if you're in the middle of the field. However, he was also 7th most in carries inside the 10-yard line with 28. That indicates that the Seahawks, who again, I don't know if they'll be as run heavy as they were a year ago, a lot of positive game scripts, Kubiak down up that run game, but they trust him, right? And that's the type of touchdown equity that I want to get invested with a 13th round pick, right? Like these other running backs we've been talking about, the Kaytrons, the Kamara of the world, that's fine. I don't think they have the upside here that someone like Charbonnet does for a 13th round pick, even if it's only for part of the season, right? Like Jadarian Price, while I'm higher than consensus on him as well, I think he's going to have a big role early. Never had a full workload in college. Of course, working with Jeremiah Love, one of the best in the country, if not the best in the country. And you guys know I'm a George Halani fan, right? Like this guy helped us cash a huge Super Bowl ticket. We had way too much money on George Halani going into that Super Bowl game. We got across the window there. And Emmanuel Wilson, solid, but like Charbonnet is a dude. These guys, and me, he's not a great dude, but he's a dude. These guys are just a guy outside of price here. So I think Charb, once he's back and towards the end of the season, weekly RB2 flex starter consideration type of guy. So that's what I'm waiting for in his return. I'm going to take all the Zach Charbonnet I can this year. Steve, you're not about it?
Not for the reasons you listed. Like that, this doesn't make sense to me. And Craze, maybe you side with Seth's assessment on this, but why is Kamara considered like, no, that's no good? And Charbonnet, like you had 12 touchdowns last year and you were the RB24. You stink. Like you are cheeks. Like you are certified.
But I also pointed out though the efficiency was down because he was getting so many stack boxes, right?
No, that wasn't so many stack boxes. It was middle of the pack. You said 13th in the league.
Yeah, among all running backs, not just among teams, among running backs individually.
Yeah,
pretty high.
I mean, yeah. Well, who was number one? I mean, were they also running back 24 with 12 touchdowns? This guy stinks. Like, I mean, the reality is this is a worse offense than the Saints have. This is
it's not. It's not.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. They lost their play
way.
caller. They lost their play caller. This offense is going to regress like you.
They have the best receiver in the league, arguably top 5 receiver in the league.
Okay, that's fine.
That helps your offense tremendously.
No slouch. Chris Olave is no slouch.
Yeah.
And they just brought in first round pick Jordan Tyson.
Yeah, I mean,
that offense is going to be fine. Like this is the thing, right? So Jadarian Price, that's fine. Emmanuel Wilson, he's decent enough. And then George Halani is trash. I mean, it just is what it is. Like,
come on, don't be shitting on George Halani.
I'm glad he cashed it. But like, it's these kinds of takes that make me go, like, now we've lost the plot. Like, you can listen. I'm with you. RB50. I'm down. I'm down to invest on that, right? Like, I think you're absolutely right with that. This is a great pick. I love the IR argument and then getting an extra player. But don't sit there and tell me that he has a better shot to finish high than Alvin Kamara does. Alvin Kamara, just put the two of them side by side, is a better player.
At this point in his career, Craze, where do you land on this?
Why do you think Charbonnet is any better than Alvin Kamara? You think
Kamara's looked dusty a little bit last season?
Charbonnet never had anything to be besides dust. He came in as dust. He is absolute booty cheeks. He is not good. It was infuriating to watch him be on the field because Kenneth Walker was so significantly better than him. It was the only thing that I thought maybe Clint Kubiak doesn't know how to actually coach football because he kept putting this bum on the field.
Hey, he'd pick up the chains though when they put the ball in his chest, man. He'd get across the line.
Inches. Of course come on. I mean, he's a professional running back. He weighs 300 pounds. I mean, he's like a big, slow blob.
Yeah, for me, when we're looking at Zach Charbonnet, I think you could draft him, put him on your bench, or put him on your IR, sorry. And then when you're coming to the end of the season, you're probably going to be playing him matchup based to me. I think that Zach Charbonnet, they're not going to need to make him 70% of the carries in this offense. They have, as you guys said, Wilson. They brought in whoever they brought in, I can't remember. But again, you're looking at your price. They brought in Price. So you're looking at this team what does this offense look like come the end of the season? Zach Charbonnet coming off the injury. Why would you, even if you think he's good, why would you risk him when you have other guys you can get the ball to? Work him back in slowly.
Sure,
he gets a good matchup. He's probably going to score, and I think you're going to be chasing touchdowns near the end of the season. So at this ADP, I like it. Put him in your IR, chase the touchdowns later in the season. I don't see him being, I think it's going to be a pretty even split between him
Craze.
and Price.
12 touchdowns, RB24.
Hey man, someone's got to do it. Remember Jamal Williams a couple years ago, right? Like
he
that's
must have finished
right.
better than RB24.
I don't know.
He did. But that was Charbonnet's role last year. Is you come in, you get touchdowns. Kenneth Walker, you're better at everything else. You go do everything else. And Charbonnet just came in when Kenneth Walker got tired, because you can't have Kenneth Walker getting too many carries, otherwise he'll get hurt. So I think that, Charbonnet, to me, I don't think he's an elite running back prospect. Maybe he's not even a good running back prospect when we're looking at the whole of the NFL. So I think that he and Price, especially if Price gets rolling at the start of the season, I think Wilson and Price will probably split pretty even early. Mm-hmm. And then if Price gets rolling, Charbonnet coming back off an injury while Price is already rolling, I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of see a split Walker Charbonnet-esque from what we saw last year.
I think the Seahawks offense has the biggest risk of significant regression in the NFL. You are relying on Sam Darnold to maintain what he did. Now he went from KOC to Clint Kubiak, and then JSN has to be absolutely beyond efficient, and then the running backs need to follow suit. I think we're asking a lot out of the Seattle Seahawks team that on paper doesn't really look that good.
Yeah, at 160 overall, though, I'm not asking that much, right? I'm asking for a couple weeks, a couple spots I can plug him in. I'll tell you a couple things I took away from night one. When Charbonnet comes back, it's anytime touchdown or bust ticket for me. Early in the season, Tank Dell reception props. Give me the over on those as well. So a lot of stuff we can take away from fantasy football from these conversations today, these heated debates. Also a lot we can take from the betting standpoint as well. So guys, great analysis, Craze. Great job tonight on your first appearance on the show. Looking forward to many more with you. And if you've rode along with us this long, please do us a quick favor. Give this video a thumbs up. We'd really appreciate that. Make sure you subscribe right here to the FSAN Fantasy Football Advice channel and the HQ channel so you don't miss any of our content across the football, the basketball, the baseball, the racing, and the golf shows. Also, be sure to check out FSAN.com for some dope written content on the Fantasy Football Advice Network, and join the community for free right now in dashbetweenmedia.com/chat as well if you want to come chat with us after the fact. And of course, don't forget about all the great events we have happening as well. IBT Classic and Draft Night Out found still on the inbetweenmedia.com/events page on the website. So make sure you're checking that out. From the new kid on the block here, Craze, from our friend up there in the New England area, Stephen Lawson, I'm Seth Wilcock. Thank you so much for watching, and keep it in between until next time, y'all.